on the run, seeking safety in ever smaller, supposedly safe protection zones, where they are still being bombed and killed by the occupation military. The Gaza Strip has become a place of death and despair. It has become a massive graveyard. A recent report from British medical journal Lancet estimated that more than 186,000 people have been murdered by the Israeli occupation so far, including more than 20,000 children. This is genocide! Entire neighborhoods are still being razed to the ground every day. Children are still being buried alive under the rubble of their parents' homes, waiting in vain in the dark for someone to rescue them. Babies with their heads and limbs torn off, blindfolded stripped men tied up and transported like cattle to Israeli torture prisons, starving elderly people and children, Palestinian women and men subjected to massive sexual violence. We all see these atrocities, and we also see how proud the occupier is of these repulsive war crimes. The torture of prisoners is broadcasted at prime time on Israeli national television. Running over people with tanks is live streamed on TikTok, and young children are being tied up, buried alive, and deliberately executed. These are not fantasy stories, as we know them from the Israeli fascist government. This is the reality in Gaza that we all follow live every day. What else do you need to see to recognize that this is a genocide? What else do you need to see to stop these genocidal maniacs? Is it only a crime against humanity when the victims are white? How do you even manage to bomb thousands of homes, hospitals, schools, churches and mosques, and murder hundreds of thousands of people and still play the innocent victim that is supposedly only defending itself? The only thing the settler colony is defending is its white supremacy. It is defending the never-ending illegal land grab. The brutal military occupation and the imperialist interests of the West, all of which have their roots in colonialism. Let's be clear, a colonizer is not a victim. After 17 years of a brutal and illegal blockade, Palestinians broke out of prison and actively took back their land, their native land that was violently stolen and illegally occupied by European settlers decades ago. It was a legitimate reaction to decades of oppression, dehumanization, dispossession, and expulsion. According to humanitarian law, all people under military occupation or siege have the elementary right to resist their occupiers and fight for liberation. The United Nations General Assembly has spoken clearly on this issue and unequivocally reaffirmed the right of Palestinians to resist Israel's military occupation, including through armed struggle. That is why we uphold our people's right to fight for their dignity and life and freedom. That is why we stand in awe of all Palestinians who resist. We stand in awe of all Palestinians who, as colonized people, rewrite their own history. We stand in solidarity with every Palestinian who decides to overcome settler colonialism, military occupation and oppression. Justice demands that we confront and challenge the systems and forces that perpetuate suffering. And it calls for solidarity with those who seek liberation. Justice demands us to stand with our resistance. Our moral duty is to engage the colonizer by all means necessary, not just in words and chants. Resistance until the freedom of all political prisoners. Resistance until return. And resistance until the full liberation of Palestine from the river to the sea. No peace on stolen land. Free, free Palestine!